Okay, so we all know Jaws is a classic. There's not much I really need to elaborate upon here. Though I thought it might be interesting to look over Spielberg's career, because for me, he almost peaked with Jaws. If it wasn't for Raiders, I would outright feel that way. I've seen the early Teller films, Duel being the most famous and acclaimed, and a very strong film. Though I think that LA 2017 Savage and Something Evil are also worth watching. Jaws and Close Encounters are then not only two of the best films of its decade, but of all time. I love Raiders and I love Temple of Doom. Those are the only Spielberg films I love from the 80s. Not much of a fanatic over E.T. Empire of the Sun is pretty good, but not a favourite of mine, and not the best film adapted from Ballard's literature either. And I don't love Last Crusade and consider it a bit overrated even. In the 90s, you can't go wrong with Schindler's List or Jurassic Park. I don't even think The Lost World is that bad, though sometimes it certainly is. I'd rather watch it than Hook, Amistad, or even Saving Private Ryan, yes. The 2000s was arguably one of his better decades on the basis of AI, Minority Report, and the creepy, though slickly well made, though so are Riefenstahl's films, Munich, even despite the existence of Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, Crystal Skull, and an uneven, though containing potential, War of the Worlds adaptation from 2005. Spielberg didn't deliver one single classic film in the 2010s. Who wants to spend time with Warhorse, Bridge of Spies, The BFG, or The Post? Noel Oakeshott defended Lincoln, to some degree, from a techno-aesthetic originality somewhat standpoint, Ready Player One, and that man also loves his Tintin, and was a major fan of that 2011 film. I can say that his 2022 film, The Fablemans, is better than anything he did in the 2010s. Not an amazing film, but his personal distilling of his formative life memories is very moving, and it is compelling to see what made the most influential storyteller possibly since the 70s tick, I think. There's also West Side Story, but it was time for that. I barely have time for the original. Certainly not going to watch Spielberg's vapidly nostalgic take on it. I do like Spielberg, though I consider him responsible for dumbing down American popular cinema after he was elevating it for a good moment there. Is he as dumb as Michael Bay or Roland Emmerich or even an average MCU picture? Of course not, though he is responsible for those breed of films existing either directly, as with some of Bay's work, or via just general creative or industry mimicry influence. Go see it in the cinema for the re-release if you haven't yet. I tried, but there was so much noise pollution into the cinema I left early and got my money back. They offered the refund first, and I accepted. I wasn't trying to be a stunt about it. Though to the business that was causing the noise, well, I almost did, but didn't want to make too much of a scene that night. I won't name the business because I don't want to give this particular cinema a bad name and discourage people from visiting it due to the actions of a neighbouring business, as they were very nice and sympathetic to me and told me that they've had problems with this business prior who refused to acknowledge the problem at all, allegedly. Hopefully they get eaten by sharks, and if sharks attacking people is normally considered a tragedy, let's make an exception for these particular business owners, or most business owners. Well, that's me editorializing, actively wanting to be richer than the average person without elevating the average person's material status is creepy to me. This isn't having a greater sum of candy, this is life and death in a jungle, and you're aspiring to take resources away from others to benefit yourself. It is hard not to be contemptible of it. Jaws, if you can't think of at least one person in this life you wouldn't mind being devoured by a shark, you're either disciplined to the point of removing, or transcending, your human nature, or you live in a bubble. Everyone wants someone to be gobbled up by a shark, even if it's just some few people that social media told you to hate because it was hip or whatever. Jaws used to make me really happy. Little does now, because people have decided that I'm worth ostracizing or whatever, despite egalitarian and progressive doctrine being very in, allegedly, right now. But I didn't want to be someone's normie. I don't want to have to change myself so that people will like me. Am I supposed to accept that I have no value as a human being, or worse, that some do innately and I might not, so I have to change myself to be like them? I would never tell someone else to do that, so I won't do that myself. By the way, the idea that some people exist out there who care about things other than money and status might be a major myth, it is rather sad to say, really.